How's it going, everybody? It's your boy Gage, and today I'm going to talk about the Melffy deck. It has to be arguably the most adorable deck in the game, and I love it just because it's a rogue deck. It's not competitive by any means, but it is incredibly satisfying to be able to beat your opponent when you do, and so I built this to be a little bit more control-oriented, and I hope that you enjoy. So without further ado, I'm just going to hop right into the deck profile. Alright, so starting off, we are playing naturally 3 Melffy Puppy. This is one of the cards you want to see in your opening hand. All of the Melffys have 2 major effects. Essentially, they special summon themselves from the hand during your end phase, and they do something when your opponent normal summons, special summons, or attacks into the Melffys. So in Melffy Puppy's instance, if your opponent does any of those things, you can bounce it back into your hand and special summon a level 2 or lower beast from the deck. This is really strong in conjunction with a card like Kalantosa, so you have to have at least 3 Melffy Puppies in your deck. It is a very incredible and strong play, and of course, adorable. We are also playing 3 Melffy Caddy. This one, when your opponent normal specials or attacks into it, you are able to bounce this one back to your hand to search for a beast. This is very strong because you can search for a card like Rescue Cat, which is a great follow-up play. And as you know, one Rescue Cat is essentially one of your Xyz monsters. So 3 Melffy Caddy helps for consistency. I am playing the one of Fenny. I do play 3 copies of Kalantosa, so having the Fenny as another Melffy name as well as a way to get into the Kalantosa. This one, when your opponent does any of those things mentioned prior, you're able to special summon a beast from the hand. So the only real way you want to use this is if you do have a Kalantosa in your hand, or if you did have an extra Melffy that you weren't able to special summon from your own end phase. So I do play the one Fenny as another name and as extra utility. Alright, and as I mentioned, I am playing 3 Rescue Cat, being able to tribute to special summon 2 level 3 or lower beasts from the deck. So this is great just because, yeah, it's one of the strongest starters your deck has, being able to go into a Melffy of the Forest on the first turn. So you want to have Rescue Cat. It's also great in the grind game because it allows you to keep generating resources to go into link plays. So 3 Rescue Cat, definitely mandatory. All right, and I am also playing, like I mentioned, 3 copies of Kalantosa, just because it is a very, very strong play. Being able to just pick off your opponent's resources. When this is special summoned by the effect of a beast, you could target a card on the field and destroy it. So you could just keep destroying things on your opponent's side of the field until eventually you are able to go for an OTK. You can special summon it off of your Melffy Puppy as well as your Fenny, and then we do have reborn spells in the deck that can bring it back, but unfortunately, because they are reborn spells and not the effects of a beast, you can't trigger it. So, like I mentioned, you really want to get this special summoned off of something like Puppy or Fenny so that you can get the utility of destruction out of it. I am playing 3 Nimble Beaver. This is not my favorite starter, just because I really want to be able to go into a Melffy of the Forest, and you can do that with this, but the problem is that because you would be using itself most likely for the material, you could detach it to use Melffy of the Forest's effect, but unfortunately, it doesn't gain much utility off of that. You really want to go into your Xyz monster with your Melffys. This is just really good for follow-up plays where if you do need an extra beast or if you need an extra material for links, you can go into this, and that's why I think that you should still play 3 because 1 card essentially becomes 2 materials. So 3 Nimble Beaver as well as 2 Hoppier Squadron. This allows you to go into some synchro plays of the deck. The deck can very easily go into cards like Herald of the Arclight and Naturia Beast. So having these at your disposal is great. You can special summon it as on your opponent's main phase, and then quick effect, immediately synchro summon. So you could use this and a Melffy to go into something like a Herald of the Arclight. Very, very good. And then I do play 2 Valeraphon, not the best starter, but an incredible extender, being able to discard, special summon a level 2 or lower beast from the grave. That allows you to essentially go into more of your Xyz plays if you want, your Link plays, or your Synchro plays, because Valeraphon is also a tuner. So that's why I am playing 2 of them. And then I am playing the one of Key Mouse and Mind Mole. These are 1-card Naturia Beasts. And as you know, Naturia Beast is very strong. So having the Key Mouse and the Mind Mole, you could use the Mind Mole and another Melffy off of Rescue Cat to go into your Naturia Beast. Or you can use the Key Mouse with two Melffys off of Obedient Schooled to go into a Naturia Beast as well. So I like having these in the deck. Unfortunately, they are bricks, but Naturia Beast is too good of a card to not play at least one of each of these. Alright, and now moving forward with the last of the monsters. As I mentioned, this is a control style build, so I am playing 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. This card hits almost every deck in the game. It's very strong, so I figured why not play these? Essentially, you could tailor your hand trap lineup to your locals if you're playing against a lot of Drytron, if you're playing against a lot of decks that search. You might want to play something like your Droll and Lockbird, for example. Or if you're playing against a combo deck that doesn't necessarily prevent a Nibiru, you can play Nibirus. But I like Ash Blossom just because of how versatile it is, and essentially it hits every deck in the game. And then I am playing 3 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. Like I mentioned, it is a control build. And Ghost Ogre just... I do play against a lot of Numeron Guru, which is popular at my locals, so I do like having the Ghost Ogre in there. But again, you want to tailor your hand traps to whatever format you are playing in the moment. So I do like Ghost Ogre for this reason. Alright, and that's it for the monsters. I'm just going to go straight into the spells. We do have Triple Obedient School, the best starter in the deck, being able to special summon 3 level 2 or lower beast effects monsters from your deck. You are locked into your beasts, but essentially it doesn't matter because it allows you to get into your Xyz plays consistently, and it also allows you to go into links and synchros. You are playing I am playing a lot of beasts in my extra deck, so I want this card to be as live as possible, and Triple Obedient School, the best starter in the game. Or at least for this deck. And I am playing 1 Melffy Hide and Seek, 2 Melffy Tag. I love that all of the spell cards are essentially all of the Melffys just playing games with each other. So these are all searchable off of your Xyz monster. The Hide and Seek protects your beasts from destruction by card effect, and it allows you to target 3 beasts in the grave with different names and shuffle them into the deck and draw a card. That's really strong because, like I said, the deck can grind. And Melffy Hide and Seek, if your opponent doesn't respect it, you can keep going into plays over and over and essentially just keep recurring your extra deck monsters and your main deck monsters. So I do like playing 1 because it is searchable. And then 2 Melffy Tags, they're quick play Monster Reborns for your Melffys. So I see no reason not to play these. And because I am playing Desires, I do want to play at least 2. But having a double Monster Reborn in the deck is strong regardless. I am playing, like I mentioned, 2 Pot of Desires. I hate 3. I just really want to minimize my chance of drawing into another one. So at least with 1 Pot of Desires, you're never going to... With 2 Pot of Desires, if you use 1, you will never draw into 2 copies of Pot of Desires. At the minimum, you could still draw into 1, but you cannot draw into 2. So that's why I like 2. It helps for the consistency. The deck can brick sometimes, so you really want to see your starter cards as much as possible, like Obedient Schooled, like Rescue Cat. And Pot of Desires can help you do that. And even if you don't get into those cards, you're drawing into at least a few Melffys that you could special summon at the end phase of your turn so that you at least have some play and aren't just essentially passing. And then for the one-ofs, Upstart Goblin for the consistency, Called by the Grave, you really want your Obedient Schooled and your Rescue Cats to resolve and not get hit by Ash Blossom, so the one-of is still very useful, and at the worst you can set it and interrupt your opponent's graveyard, so it's not the worst card in the world. Like I said, a control-based deck, so it's good if you can protect your things, but if you can prevent your opponent's graveyard from going off, which there are a lot of things in the game that still rely on cards activating in the graveyard, then Called by the Grave is still very useful. And then Monster Reborn and Ayer's Rock Sunrise, these are both reborn spells, so the two Melffy tag along with these allow you to make sure that you can just keep playing, keep grinding, and hopefully hold your opponent off long enough to win the game. Alright, and that's going to be it for the main deck. I'm just going to go ahead and hop straight into the extra now. I am playing 2 Melffy of the Forest, your main Xyz monster that you want to go into. It has 2 main effects. The first being that you could detach to add a Melffy from the deck to your hand. So if you want to add your Reborn, the Melffy tag, or the Melffy Hide and Seek for recursion, you could do that. But the main effect is that if you have a Melffy on the field and you bounce it back to your hand because your opponent normal special summons or attacks into it, you can use this effect to... Your card would bounce back to your hand, Melffy of the Forest will trigger, and you could target a monster your opponent controls. It can't attack, and its effects are negated. So this is really good. A lot of decks rely on a powerful normal summon to be able to search some of their key cards or get their plays going. So having Melffy of the Forest on the field to be able to prevent that from happening is huge. So you want to be able to special summon this, get this on the field as soon as possible. And yeah, that's how you can start the grind, by getting this on the field. And then I am playing 2 number 64 Ronin Raccoon Sendayu. This is really good for helping to get OTKs. It's a beast, so you can go into it off of Obedient Schooled, and essentially you detach, special a token, and that token gains attack equal to the monster with the highest attack on the field. So, like I said, you could go for OTKs. If you're having trouble getting over a really big monster, because all of the Melffys and really all of the main deck monsters are really, really weak, if you do need to attack into something in order to get rid of it, Ronin Raccoon Sendayu helps you to do so. And then 2 Mrs. Radiant. Essentially, just 2 Earths are able to get into this, so almost every single card in your deck, minus some cards like the Nimble Beaver, for example. But yeah, Mrs. Radiant I love because it buffs your already weak Melffys, but on top of that, it floats. So if this is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can add one of the Earth monsters from your grave and back to your hand. So again, you want to control, you want to slow your opponent down, and Mrs. Radiant in tandem with something like Melffy of the Forest is a very strong play. Alright, and like I mentioned, the deck can go into synchros rather easily, so I am playing 2 Herald of the Arclight as well as a Naturia Beast. These are very powerful cards, as you know, other top decks use them, and this deck can get into them really consistently. Like I said, 1 Obedient Schooled and 1 Rescue Cat can get you to your Naturia Beast, and your Valeraphon plays as well as your Hopier Squadrons can help you get into the Herald of the Arclights. So having a Macrocosmos as well as an Omni Negate as well as a Infinite Spell Negate in a deck like this is huge for being able to control the pace of the game. And now for the Link monsters. These are for utility, Nightmare Phoenix and Nightmare Unicorn. If you have to deal with, for example, a problematic Floodgate, just having this in the extra deck is really good so that you can pop that. And if you need to spend something back, having Nightmare Unicorn is good as well. And then for the Link 4s, Borreload, Mech Knight Crusadia Avramax, and Boral Sword Dragon. This deck can produce a lot of monsters, so the fact that you have the ability to link climb and go into things like this is huge. Stealing a monster, going for OTKs, or even using 2 of your Mrs. Radiant to go into Avramax, it's really great value. So I like having these cards in the deck. Obviously, you could tailor the extra deck towards whatever format you are playing, but these are the cards that I like having in the deck the most. And guys, I don't have a side deck for you. Again, everyone's format is a little bit different, so if you're playing against back row, I highly recommend siding against that more heavily in your side deck. If you're playing against combo, definitely side higher against that. So tailor it to your locals, but for mine, I really like the deck as is, and I don't necessarily want to run a side deck, so I don't have that for you. But guys, that's going to be it for the deck profile. If you do appreciate content like this, please be sure to like and subscribe. I really enjoy making this type of content, and the channel is growing slowly but surely, and I really appreciate the support I have been getting. Please leave a comment for builds that you are interested in building yourself. I know Tri-Brigade is very strong, and who knows, maybe in the future I will pick up the Tri-Brigade cards and try them in this deck. I know that it raises the ceiling for it, and so, yeah, it could be fun to try out, but I really just love the pure Melffy build so much, just because, again, the satisfaction of being able to beat your opponent with pure Melffys. So thank you for watching. I appreciate your time, and until next time, have a great one.